Hello, I'm Enzo, and today I'll be playing Oxygen Not Included. And this is another episode where we just do an insane amount of stuff. I'm going to start out by sending Shizu and Mio back to the planetoid. They've done a ton of research, and we finally have enough data banks to research everything else we need. It's pretty insane that we're 1,600 cycles in and haven't gotten all the research yet, but as you can't tell, I'm a very slow player. If it's weird that I put all my research stations in my steam room, it's because they get very hot and I didn't want that heat to go anywhere. And it's kind of wasted out in the world, so it's more efficient to do it in here. And the virtual planetarium animation is one of my favorite animations in the game. And we'll be working on researching the drill cone to start. Drill cone, get. This is what I've been waiting for. This allows me to start mining resources from space POIs, which is awesome. We can get an insane amount of very rare resources from these. So I'm very excited. I'm going to try and get as many rockets and pilots as possible to start harvesting everything in the star map. To convert the middle rocket, I'm doing a little trick where you build a different thing, you swap the module, and then you cancel construction, effectively destroying what was there. And this allows me to place a drill cone on the rocket in the middle. Very useful trick for when you're trying to build rockets or change out parts, and you don't want to have to deconstruct it first. We're only going to be looking for solids for now, and one large cargo bay is plenty more than enough from my testing for just one planetoid. You can generally only harvest 20 tons of material at a time, and these hold 27 tons. Besides that, I have a new rocket interior now. This is very cool. I have a latrine in the bottom right, a full-on bedroom in the top right, and a great hall. It's kind of crazy that I managed to do all this. And the carpeted tile under the rocket control station kind of guarantees that the duplicate piloting it should have zero stress permanently. I'm sending Nemesis back to the first planetoid because they have a high piloting skill, which isn't exactly very useful here. And you know, I have to say, Radbolt rockets are completely balanced and not broken at all. I have an infinite supply of Radbolts from the nuclear waste here, meaning I have an infinite amount of fuel for the rockets. It's pretty broken. One of my favorite things about Radbolt rockets for sure. I'm also placing more tiles under the mesh tiles because sometimes nuclear fallout turns into nuclear waste liquid and gets all over the stuff at the bottom and heats it up. So yeah, just wanted to fix that. Nemesis is going to be our first pilot that gets to go and harvest resources. I'm going to be sending them over to the gilded asteroid we found. This gives us fullerene. Fullerene can be used to make supercoolant, which means we can finally get supercoolant after all this time. There is one other way to get it from the water planetoid, but I'm not even close to going there yet. So this is the quicker way for me to get supercoolant. The second rocket is going to be piloted by Shizu, and they're going to go to the radioactive gas cloud. Now, there's only one resource we can harvest from that, and that I want: uranium. I wanted to harvest it as soon as possible so it could start refilling again, because this one refills very slowly. I forgot the name of what Darkness discovered in that little tile there, but it has uranium as well, so it's a very useful tile for us to mine. And what's this? If you guys have played Oxygen Not Included before, you might know what this is. This is called a petroleum boiler. It uses heat from magma to boil oil into petroleum. This is a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning you lose no crude oil, no petroleum, and you don't make natural gas in the process. I'm going to talk a bit more about this later. So in this DLC, I've never gone and mined from an asteroid before. So here it is. Makes like a little claw and starts mining it. Something interesting to know is that we're getting 100% of the resources because they're all solids. And that's because if you have liquid or gas cargo bays, then you can store liquid and gas too. But if you don't, you can see this here, cannot collect resources. So it's still going to use all the diamond and try to collect all the uranium. But since the uranium is a percentage, it's not going to collect all 9 tons. And a while later, we get to see the fruits of our labor, fullerene. Now I can start making supercoolant. This is going to get awesome. I also added to my resources This is just where I keep all my very rare and very useful resources. If you didn't know, supercoolant requires 1 kilogram of fluorine, 49.5 kilograms of petroleum, and gold. This is pretty cheap for me. And you may notice one issue though. 1 kilogram of fluorine. I have 2 tons of fluorine, and I get even more. So yeah, it just gets a little insane. For now though, here's my supercoolant storage. Considering I don't have thermium right now, I'm going to be using magma to heat up my crude oil into petroleum. And if you're wondering why I made a petroleum boiler, it's because the insane cost of supercoolant. You need 49.5 kilograms, which is quite a bit. So I thought I'd just make a petroleum boiler so I could make an insane amount of supercoolant. I also learned that you're supposed to preheat this petroleum, or crude oil, before you put crude oil in, or else it'll mess the whole thing up. So there's that. Pretty useful system though. It's also good to note that your automation wires should not be made of gold. I learned that the hard way. I also haven't gotten a new duplicate in forever. I'm also running out of names, so I'm going to call this one Tester. This is my very poor attempt at liquid oxygen and hydrogen production. This is a time-lapse, more specifically. My design kind of failed because I wanted to do 3 vents of hydrogen a second, so 3 kilograms, but you need more aqua tuners than just 3 for 3, so yeah. Future designs I'll probably test before I build them, but it still works pretty well for 1 or 2 lines. Yeah, okay, I skipped over 99% of the construction. It was pretty boring anyways. And I may have forgotten to turn off all the sensors. So that thermal aqua tuner was just running with no atmosphere. That's why it overheated. Also, sorry about the liquid pipe spaghetti, but this is just trying to fill all of the loops at once. I mean, it worked, it just looks really bad currently. I really didn't learn from the petroleum boiler. I forgot to pre-cool this as well. So the liquid is kind of just cold-ish, but not enough to freeze the hydrogen. Now that's a good and bad thing. Good because it doesn't freeze it right into a solid, but bad because this is going to take a very long time to cool down to hydrogen liquefying temperatures. And here I'm expanding my rocket fleet even more. Most of the Radbolt rockets are going to have this exact same design. Engine, Spacefarer, cargo, drill cone. The interior of the Spacefarer module is the exact same for all of them. And honestly, it looks way cooler when the tank is completely full, but one of my favorite things in this game is the beautiful pink of liquid hydrogen and the beautiful light blue of liquid oxygen. This stuff is pretty cold, so no touchy. And making liquid hydrogen specifically, oxygen is quite easy, is a very dangerous game because you have to have just the right temperature where it doesn't freeze it into a solid, but instead liquefies it only. And as you can see though, we do get some solids. That's unavoidable though, because the supercoolant is so cold, it comes in contact and freezes it instantly. And that's just going to be there forever, nothing I can really do about it. But it's so little that I don't have to worry about it. I don't know when I got the notification, but here, I found the gassy moo planet. I can't wait to see it. I've actually never gotten a gassy moo before, so it'll be very cool and very exciting once I go there, eventually. And since we flew a rocket near the planetoid, we can see the surface of it, and we can see a few gassy moos. I'm pretty sure they also come from gassy moo asteroids. I don't know where I saw that, but I'm pretty sure that's another source they can come from. Still, very cool planetoid. It's very cold. There's a lot of chlorine and natural gas and bleachstone, and there's even a chlorine geyser there too. So it'll be very interesting to check out this planetoid eventually. I'm trying to clear out a lot of the abyss light from the space biome and not have all the cold materials come into contact with the rest of my world. There's a very specific reason for doing this. I have liquid hydrogen, but I need oxygen. Now sure, I could just build an electrolyzer and separate them out and put oxygen into the system, but I'm going to use rust deoxidizers instead. So I can also get iron and use the insane amount of salt and rust I have at the same time. I know the design looks odd, but this is another one I didn't test at all. So the whole plan is oxygen goes up, I'll build pumps up above the rust deoxidizers, and the chlorine goes down. There's a pump and some sensors there. The piping in the back is to pre-cool the oxygen, because this place does kind of get pretty hot. There's not much more to say. It produces oxygen. Chlorine does very rarely get into the input. However, chlorine freezes at a way higher point than oxygen does, so it's fine. There will just be a few blobs of frozen chlorine in the system. Yeah, so this one was a little rocky. The oxygen kept turning back into a gas. So an easy fix to this is placing a metal tile floor and putting temp shift plates in a checker pattern in the back. It helps even things out. Eventually though, it does start working. And to prepare for the next episode, we're going to build more rockets. But not drilling rockets. These are going to be settlement rockets. You'll see. Anyways though, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I always appreciate it. This is going to be Enzo from LookIntoGaming, signing out.